Hey guys, good morning. This is a little bit of a earlier episode. Welcome back to episode 6 of the KnightCASTle. I am your host Demetrius Montero and my co-host,
Matthew Feldman.
and we are the UCF sports writers of the UCF Roundtable. I will have the QR code on top left, top right toward the end of the episode so you guys can create an account and interact with us. But today we're going to talk about the Texas Tech game against UCF last Saturday, and they got absolutely dominated, blown out. We're going to catch up on some hoops, men's hoop news, and anything else outside of the UCF realm that's still sort of UCF related. So let's start with the absolute downpour of that Texas Tech game. Matthew, you wrote a gamer on it, and I couldn't watch it because I was out with family. I didn't get home until about like 5, 6 o'clock, so the game was already over by then. But what are your thoughts and what are your takeaways from that game since you wrote about it?
Well, yeah, you didn't miss much. Uh, if I could pick a game not to watch, that'd probably be the one. Um, Honestly, my first overarching thought is we looked like we didn't belong. They looked like they were in a group above us. It really was from the kickoff. You could just tell the difference in the two teams, and even the preparation. I mean, we come out and first snap we fumble the ball. Loss of 4 yards. Next snap, Lee Hunter, who, we used to love him, now he talks crap about us, but, Lee Hunter sacks Taven. Now we're 3rd and long, now we punt. Now we're 7-0, giving it back to them in decent field position. They come down, get on the goal line, and they stick their linebacker in at quarterback in the first quarter. It's like they're playing games with us, like putting their Heisman guy in at quarterback, and he runs it in, scores. Now it's 14-0. The momentum swayed. We had 3 straight 3 and outs. Like, the game was over in the first quarter. And, you know, I I I kind of expected us not to keep it close, but not in that fashion. I mean, we didn't score in the first half offensively. We had a safety, which wasn't even a real safety. We forced a holding penalty in the end zone, so uh, kind of a fake safety, but we'll take it. 2
Yeah,
points. But when you're sitting 38-2 at half, and it and literally, they have their linebacker in at quarterback, striking the Heisman pose, scoring, picking off Taven. Like, he looks like the full package, and we just look honestly, we look like a Division II team. We look like we were a level below. They credit to them, they're obviously a very good team, but we should never lose that bad, especially in that fashion. Um, it's just upsetting because, all the talk this week was no pressure. We're going out, we're playing hard. But I didn't even really see much effort. The play calling wasn't great. It How I look at it is, if I'm a team who hasn't won a game on the road, I'm fighting for my bowl contention. I'm going against a team that I have no business beating. Why am I throwing run, check down? Why am I not launching the ball down the field, at least trying to generate some offense? Because Taven Jackson had a decent completion percentage. He completed a lot of his passes, but they were just check downs. They were right in front of the defense, which our offensive coordinator Steve Cooper said that they're fast. They get to the ball quickly. They swarm tackle. So we're not going to be able to get our guys out in space and make a man miss because there's going to be another defender right there. So I was I was disappointed with the play calling. I would have liked us to see some more uh, downfield shots, but you know this is kind of what we expected. It's kind of what Vegas expected. We were 24.5 point underdogs. I didn't want to believe that would happen, but they almost doubled that. Uh, so yeah, definitely a rough game. We have 2 more. That's the good news. We got one this week that we should win. We don't really have any gimmies this year, but Oklahoma State's 1-9, interim coach. It's our senior night. We're back at home. So I expect us to get back to 5-6, but then we're gonna have to go back on the road and play BYU, who's very similar to Texas Tech in their style. They're a defensive first team. They can move the ball, running and passing, and it's on the road, which um, we can't win on the road. So it's going to be difficult. But you definitely didn't miss much by not seeing this one.
yeah. So would you say, with that BYU game in 2 weeks to end the season, Would you like to see a little bit more, downfield shots, bold play calling, just to kind of fight for your season and win a bowl, and get a bowl game?
For sure. If you're gonna lose, you might as well go out swinging. We submitted. It looked like we submitted. I mean, three and outs in a row. We're running up the interior, first and second down. We have backup O linemen in. They have the best D line in the country. I mean, that's all you should like. Why do we continue to test their strengths? We need to play to our strengths. That's what we talked about all week. Getting our skill position players in space, you know, not running up the middle against an $8 million defensive line when both of our centers are out, our guards are beat up. Just it seemed like we didn't come ready with the belief that we could compete. It seemed like we just came and wanted to, keep it close, coast through, and that's not going to work. We have to be ready to come and try, at least try, and push the ball down the field, put pressure on their defense. It's just I don't know. And now with the quarterback dilemma too, like Coach Frost said at the beginning of the season, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. But in this game, we had Taven in for the first 3 drives, and then he puts Davy Belford in. Once again, a tough situation. We're down 14-0. The kid has minimal reps, and he keeps getting put in these tough situations. He doesn't get a chance to get a rhythm. He doesn't get a chance to get in-game reps. He gets in for one possession, we go 3 and out again, and now we're back to Taven. So it's just tough for either quarterback to get a real rhythm when they're in the game, out the game, in the game, out the game. Run, incompletion, punt. Like it's just there's no sense of continuity on the offense, like complementary football. Um, that like it's tough for the defense to keep going out there with no rest. 3 plays I get to watch my offense, and now I'm back on the field, and I have to go against Texas Tech's offense again. So I mean, we just have to do a better job of prolonging drives, finding ways to get our skill position players the ball. Like we don't have Miles Montgomery, who's our power back, our guy who gets most of the run, and we're running the ball up the middle against Texas Tech's D line. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you're going up against a top 10 ranked team in the country and you're fighting for bowl eligibility, it feels like it's your last chance. You got to go down fighting. And you can't just it's almost like you have to play to perfection, right? Like you said, you can't run up the middle and into their strengths. Like if they have a $7 million revamped defensive line, and that's something they pride themselves in, you don't run straight into the defensive line and hope for a big run to happen. That's not how you go out and win a game against a top 10 ranked team. Texas Tech started the second quarter up 21-0. Well, they started up 14-0, but then their first drive was a
First play,
touchdown. So
first play of the
it
second
was
quarter.
21-0. And I don't know, if anyone who's watching has played Madden, played Ultimate Team, when you go up 21-0 in the first quarter, they offered the other opponent a chance to just quit because
Yep.
it's like you're clearly outmatched, and
It's,
that's exactly what it felt like. We were clearly outmatched, and whatever Texas Tech wanted, they got. Jacob Rodriguez touchdown, Jacob Rodriguez interception. Like, why are you doing your best Travis Hunter impression? Why? Why? you know? So it's just you gotta UCF has to turn it around. Like they have to if they want to if they want a bowl game. I know Oklahoma State, I'm not gonna say it's a gimme, because it's like in the NBA when you play against the Washington Wizards, everyone like, oh, that's a win. It's the Washington Wizards. And it's like, well, no. Just because Oklahoma State is winless doesn't mean they're not gonna try.
no.
And with with the Knights offensive woes, the inability to have long drives, they don't even have to be scoring drives. The ability to have a drive where it's 7 to 9 plays and you've taken off 3 to 5 minutes of clock. Like you don't have that ability. You haven't had that ability for almost the entire season. In
Yep.
spots, sure, but you haven't had that ability in the entire season. And if you want to win, that's what you need to have. You need to have, long, efficient drives where the play calling is consistent and you're consistently getting big plays. You're consistently getting a first down either in the first drive, either in the first play or second play. And if it's a third down, it's a third and short, not a third and long, because you picked up a flag like a false start or holding. And it just, you can't afford any kind of mistakes against the top 10 ranked team. And it's going to be the same. We're going to have the same sentiments when we preview the BYU game, and probably when we break down the BYU game, because it's the same mistakes over and over and over. It's the same story every time. It's never really changed. And especially with Frost initiating this whole in-season quarterback competition. I wrote about it yesterday because he said Davi deserves a chance to play. He deserves some playing time. And I get it. Davi has Davi had a great drive against Houston in that last drive, and it's earned him a little bit of trust from the coaching staff and praise from his teammates. But Taven has started 80% of the games for UCF. 80% of the games. I understand he had the left AC joint sprain, hamstring against Houston. He's had some injuries of his own, but you're trying to shake up the starting quarterback when your redshirt junior has started 80% of the games. It's like, and his justification is, he wants to finish the season with the starting quarterback. Taven is your starting quarterback. He's been the starting quarterback for 80% of the games. So I don't know what you can accomplish when you're splitting up reps between Taven and Davi, because if one catches rhythm, what's the point of bringing the other one in
Mm-hmm.
unless it's a blowout,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's say against Oklahoma State, it becomes a 28-3 game. Taven's going off. Well, you put Davi in. Davi's only going up against, the second, third stringers because it's a blowout game. Right. And you haven't really given him the opportunity he absolutely needs to potentially be, the starting quarterback during the season. Plus, not only that, you have other UCF commits at the quarterback position, like Kane Archer and Dante Carr, coming in next season, and you're going to have a whole other quarterback battle.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like Frost is kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what will change. And I get that. He said in the post game presser that he's spending a lot of his nighttime hours at the office trying to make the team good. And shout out to you, that's a great mindset as a head coach. But sometimes the decision making is a bit spotty and a bit questionable.
Yeah.
Because if you know you can't preach, this is a good team, and almost every time the product is out there on the field, it screams differently. You can have some great plays here and there, have some long drives here and there, but consistently, the product isn't that of a great team, a good team. But I mean, you went up against Texas Tech, which you are definitely severely at a NIL disadvantage. They spent $7 million to revamp their defensive line. I don't think the Knights have $7 million to revamp any kind of skill position.
Definitely.
So it's a process for Scott Frost, especially in his first year back. So we'll see how this in-season quarterback competition fares against Oklahoma State and especially at BYU. But to move on from Texas Tech, let's go to men's hoops. And men's hoops recently just beat Texas A&M. Tonight they have Oakland, but we'll focus a little bit more on Texas A&M because that was a little bit more of a like significant game. Texas Tech, they were ranked last year. They're not ranked this year, but regardless, it's the SEC. And Texas Tech not Texas Tech. Texas A&M is still a good basketball team. So for UCF to come out and beat them by 12, I believe the final score is 86-74. I think that's pretty good. You start the season out 3-1. And Matthew, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely a more positive subject. That was a good win. We swept the series. You mentioned they were ranked last year, and they came to play here at Addition, and we beat them. And I was there for that, and we got to rush the court. That was very fun. So I knew A&M would remember that. They have a different coach this year. Their old coach, Buzz Williams, left for Maryland. So they have a very different scheme now. They used to be very slow paced, defense oriented, get on the glass. Um, I remember seeing a stat last year that they were towards the bottom 10% in field goal percentage on their first shot, and they were first in the country on offensive rebound shots after second chance points. So they're always a very scrappy team. Um, this year, they don't have as many scoring options available, but they're still, like you said, it's SEC basketball, SEC Big 12. Those are the two top conferences. So definitely a big win. We were tied at halftime. It was actually 30-30. Last year it was 29-29. So similar first half schemes. But they came out of the second half blazing. They went on a quick 12-0 run. We were down double digits, but we kept fighting. Riley Kugel, who's been on fire to start the year, finally kind of came back down to earth. He was 1 for 8 on his first 8 attempts, uh, made his final 4 down the stretch. So that's encouraging to see that he can turn it on when it matters. Jordan Burks was huge again, 21 points, 5 of 7 from 3. And then Carmelo Pacheco, again, off the bench. Down the stretch, he hit 3 threes in a row. He was 5 of 6 from 3 total. But his threes were huge. And we kept finding him, and he kept answering, and we kept extending that lead. And yeah, we walked into their trap and took over their trap. We were 9.5 point underdogs, ended up winning by double digits. So it's pretty cool when you can flip the spread on its head like that. But we've talked about it all year, the depth, having people that can step up. Like I said, Riley has been great all year, but he struggled. We had people step up. We had people that took advantage of their opportunity and made big shots when it counted. Themis Folks had 9 assists. He's averaging almost 7 a game this year. Um, that's that's great to have a floor general like that, and he pushes pace really well. He's starting to limit the turnovers, and he talked about how it's going to take time to figure out where his people like getting the ball. Are they back cutting? Are they staying? Kind of thing. So he he's a great option for us to have out there. Get the rebound and we're gone. I think our pace has been great. We're getting quick shots in transition. We're looking up the court. I always think it's better to play fast, especially with a team like we have with depth. If someone gets tired, we can sub someone else in. So, yeah, definitely a good win.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good one. Just kind of looking at the stats, UCF shot 50% from three. So team wise, I think this is one of the better shooting teams that UCF has had in recent years. May not be super consistent, but at times you can get really hot. Jordan Burks, 5 of 7 from three, Pacheco, 5 of 6, those two, 10 threes. So you have guys who can shoot the leather off the ball
Mhm.
sometimes when absolutely needed, and I think that's key to unlocking the offense, and especially with Riley Kugel, who's more of this shot creating, driving guard. It just opens up the floor for him so much more when you got your other guys who could shoot the skin off the ball. Because now the defense has the key in on you. All right, am I going to top block Burks? Am I going to top block Pacheco? Am I going to chase o- chase over the screen for Pacheco or Burks, right? Am I gonna have the big come up and hedge, come up and ice, stuff like that? So it just opens the floor up so much for the other guys to, score and get get other positive, means to regression for them. Another thing we talked about too, the free throws. We talked about it, earlier episodes. Like they gotta just get the key, lock themselves in the gym, and throw it away until they make however many free throws. And they shot 16 to 17 from the free throw line. Of course, had 13 less free throws than the Aggies, but regardless, you make 93% of your free throws. That's 93% of your free throws. It's a better percentage than what Texas A&M had, and that it plays a role into when you win a game because if you miss like 5 of them, who knows how the game changes. So just having some of those extra additional points is always great to have. Um, and they are able to win double digits despite the turnovers. I think they had 16, so two more than Texas A&M. So it's still a little bit of a growing process for the team to figure out where the other guys are. But when you're winning, in spite of that, it says a lot about the talent on the team and how you can overcome some of the challenges that you have. So it's good to see that Dawkins starts the season off 3-1. Like I said, they're playing Oakland tonight, so they could start 4-1.
Yep.
Oakland, I believe, is 1-3. So again, as I mentioned before, it's not a gimme win, but it's the closest thing you can say to gimme. Like they're 1-3, not the best team. It's kind of like Florida A&M. So uh,
One thing that's very interesting, not to cut you off, but,
I-
their 3 losses, I thought this was fake, but their 3 losses are to top 10 Michigan, Purdue when they were number 1, and Houston, who's number 1 now. So they have played 3 top 10 teams, so it's not unfair to say that we're the 4th best team they've played, so they're gonna be ready. So,
Mhm.
like you said, don't take them lightly.
Yeah, because any team on any given night can beat you regardless of injuries or any anything, right? You never know what happens. So take that game seriously. Potentially start the season off 4-1 for the second straight year, and it kind of relieves some pressure off Dawkins. We've talked about it before how Dawkins may be on the hot seat. I think ESPN said he's on the hot seat as well.
Mhm.
Um, So, I mean, it's another good start to the season. You just got to maintain it. That's the big question. Can Dawkins maintain a good start to the season? Because a big reason why the Knights ended their season 17-16 was because of that 7-game losing streak in February.
Yep.
In February, you just tank. You were 13-6 before that 7-game losing streak.
We were the last team in too. Last team into March Madness according to bracketology going into our 3rd game of Big 12 play. So, it's gonna come down to conference play. But
Yeah.
this is all good practice.
Yeah, so of course it's gonna come down to conference play, especially when you have, AJ Dabonsta, Darren Peterson on ESPN and Sports Center every other game. So you got to be able to really take care of your matchups here and now, and later in the season when you're coming up against conference play, do your absolute best to steal games because you cannot afford a 7-game losing streak, especially if Dawkins wants to keep his job. I think that's just very simple.
Yep.
But heading off into some other UCF news, start keeping on basketball. Dior Johnson had 42 points off the bench for Tarleton State. Oh my God. It was ethical, absolutely ethical. He only shot, he made two threes. He made two of his three threes and only went to the free throw line 7 times. 17 or 24 from the field. So everything else just came from layups, dunks, floaters, mid range. Wish Dior showed that here at UCF, but it's always good to see a former player go out and showcase his talents even if it's on another team.
Right. Yeah, another one, Keyshawn from last year, he's averaging 24 a game, which is leading the SEC in the early season. He led the conference last year in scoring for Big 12. So if he could lead the Big 12 and the SEC in scoring back-to-back years, I think that's a pretty good resume for NBA teams to, give him a shot. So good
Yeah,
for him.
take him in the lottery so we
Yeah,
can write about him.
if
and
only
then another thing. This is NFL. Unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins is injured for an indefinite amount of time. Speedy recovery to J.K. Dobbins, but R.J. Harvey now has the starting running back spot for the Denver Broncos, and he will have that position presumably for the rest of the season. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, great news for for us as fans. A lot of the questions around him had been just workload. He hadn't really, because J.K. Dobbins is such a workhorse and he'd been having such a great year. He wasn't getting a lot of rushing attempts. Um, I think that will continue to increase, especially with the Broncos winning. They're they beat the Chiefs yesterday in his first career start. He was mediocre, but he helped them get the win. Uh, it's the Chiefs' rushing defense, so not much you can do against that. But in the passing game, he's remained a good option for Bo Nix to check down to, and he'll make a man miss and get you the yards to stay ahead of the sticks. So definitely exciting to see that he's going to continue to get more of a role.
Yeah, good to see that he'll have more reps, rushing game and then passing game. Just kind of be more of an all around running back for the Broncos and see if he could continue his performances up in the playoffs because Broncos are, I think they're at the top of their conference.
Hmm.
So they knocked the Chiefs down into the hunt of the wild card, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But we're looking to see RJ have really good performances, so we could write about him. Just keep shining a light on RJ because I think when's the last time UCF had a really high draft pick? I think it was Bortles.
Bortles, yeah, probably.
It was probably Bortles. So like that's recent UCF success, and it's on a national level. Like, you're on one of the better teams in the league, so it's good to have a UCF alum on one of the better teams in the league getting the spotlight. So that'll bring an end to episode 6 of the KnightCASTle. I'm your host Demetrius Montero, my co-host.
Matthew Feldman.
We're the UCF sports writer of the UCF Roundtable. Here is the QR code for our website. Make sure you scan the QR code and create an account, join the UCF Roundtable, interact with our stories, create community posts on whatever you see. I think the best example is UCF's men's soccer just won their Sun Belt Conference championship and punched their ticket to the national tournament. So maybe that's something you want to shine a light on in the community post. Always have that. We love to have anything more UCF on the page. And last but not least, as always, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell to turn on your notifications. So whenever we upload an episode, you're able to watch it right on the dot. And, like, comment, subscribe. And we will see you on Friday for episode 7. Peace.
See ya.